nation. Hebrew kingdom building.
I can do all things through Yahushua who strengthens me. I can do all things through Yahushua who strengthens me. I can do all.
Shemot chapter 1. Now these are the names of the children of Israel who came to Egypt.
Skip down to verse 6. Start with verse 6.
Verse 6. Could you give me a little more volume, Shamar? And Joseph died, all his brothers, and all their generation. But the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly, multiplied and grew exceedingly mighty, and the land was filled with them.
All right, so the children of Israel grew exceedingly mighty when they were in captivity in Mizraim. So when it says that they grew exceedingly mighty, there were probably so during the times when Egypt was in captivity. No, I'm sorry. During the time when Israel was in Egypt, they weren't in captivity yet. Not in the first couple of verses. They were not in captivity, but there was segregation involved. Did y'all remember when we talked about this a couple years ago? Okay, it's all right. So Egyptians didn't like Israelites. Israelites was an abomination to the Egyptians. So what happened? There was Jim Crow laws put in place in Egypt. For real, ain't nothing new under the sun. I know they didn't call it. I'm sure they didn't call it that, of course. But y'all just hear me out. The children of Israel were set apart in a place called Goshen, and that's where they were supposed to stay at because they were about an abomination to the Egyptians. Like Joseph, even he was a part of making that happen. He's like, man, you know, our people are shepherds and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Let us go over in this land that's far away for everybody. You know, where it's the best of the land where we can do what we do because our people shepherds, which is an abomination to the Egyptians. And so there was like a sense of a separation. That's what I mean by segregation. That's what I mean by there were Jim Crow laws. They were separated. They were supposed to be set apart. You know, it was like a Hebrew-only section of Egypt. That's where they were supposed to be at. But when it talks about them growing mighty and the land was filled with them, that's given the connotation that they somehow was spread from Goshen and started filling up the whole land of Egypt, y'all. Something happened. Something happened. It probably was some sort of movement, some sort of civil rights movement. For real. Something happened. They probably was some sort of, hey, we want to start going and being at the Egyptian stores too. For real. Like, hey, man, we want to be able to go to the Egyptian facilities too. They have more stuff over there than what we got over here in Goshen. They got more things over there. Man, they got better schools. They got better schools. We want to go to the colleges that the Egyptians go to. It said they became mighty. They probably were very influential. They came and started pushing these different things. The next thing you know, now they're filling up the whole land of Egypt. Keep reading.
Verse 8. Now there arose a new king over Mizraim who did not know Joseph. And he to his people. And he said to his people, look, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we.
So they ended up becoming more. So if they would have stayed in Goshen, they were probably all up in the Egyptians' face, y'all. That's why they started getting scared. That's why the Egyptians started getting worried. How did they know that they were so mighty? Man, they probably started working at their jobs. They over there working the mill, working the bricks, going way harder than everybody. They're like, man, they getting into it with the Egyptians. They always whooping them. They get involved in the Egyptian sports and dominating the Egyptian sports. For real.
Getting beat up.
For real. How they know they was that the Israelites was so mighty if the Israelites stayed away in Goshen and was just being shepherds and doing the things of Yahuwah? The only way they would have known that is if we crossed some boundaries. We crossed some boundaries and now we're on their radar. You see what I'm saying? And so let's see what happens. Verse 10.
Come, let us deal shrewdly with them, lest they multiply. And it happened in the event of war that they also join our enemies and fight against us, and so go up out of the land.
So this is what they were scared of. It was a twofold thing. They were scared of, number one, they didn't want the church, they didn't want them to leave. Number two, they didn't want to have to fight against them. This is how, how did they understand this? They were worried about the Israelites going and joining the enemy and fighting against them in war. They didn't want the Israelites, they didn't want to have to fight them. Keep going.
Verse 11, therefore they set taskmasters over them to afflict them with their burdens. They built for Pharaoh supply cities, Pithom and Ramses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were in a dread of the children of Israel.
And they were what?
They were in dread of the children of Israel.
They were in what?
In dread.
They were terrified of the children of Israel. Terrified, y'all. That's how mighty we were in Egypt. We was probably just dominating all the sports. We was probably like, man, we started putting out some Israelite music. Everybody wanting to jam. All the Egyptians liking our music. So now we getting all the influence. Now we getting all the influence. Pharaoh and them son got in trouble because he came home with an Israelite woman. He got in trouble. They everywhere. They're dominating in the sports. They're dominating in the arts, in the music. They taking all the jobs. We got to do something. Keep reading.
Verse 13, so the Egyptians made the children of Israel serve with rigor, and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage and mortar and brick, and in all manner of service in the field. All their service in which they made them serve was with rigor. Then the king of Mizraim spoke to the Hebrew midwives.
All right, so then they came up with a plan. So he was like, okay, we're gonna deal shrewdly with them. So he made them, he put them in a harsh bondage. But that wasn't enough, was it? You know why? Because they multiplied and grew exceedingly even more the more they afflicted them. So now the king had a new plan. Look what the new plan is, verse 15.
Then the king of Mizraim spoke to the Hebrew midwives, of whom the name of one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other Peah. And he said, when you do the duties of a midwife for the Hebrew women and see them on the birth stools, if it is a son, then you shall kill him.
So what they were trying to do is they were trying to implement the first, or one of the first, basically abortion clinics. They were trying to implement like an Egyptian abortion system. Right. And you know what that abortion system was for? It was to control the population of the children of Israel. That was the sole purpose of the abortion system that Egypt implemented. You see how nothing new under the sun?
That's it.
So, and they didn't do it themselves. What did they do? They went and got, they were trying to get some Hebrew women. Yeah. They're trying to get some Hebrew, they get their own people who will be down with it. Hey, look, I'm gonna need you to do this. I'm gonna need you to push this hard. And there was probably all kind of rewards and everything. If you do this, we're gonna make sure you through. So don't think that it's a trivial thing when you see that it's a lot of our own people who push abortion more than other nations. I remember I was on looking at BET one time. It was years ago. It was around the time of the presidential race, and they were pushing Democrat. You know how it is in America. It's Hebrews push the Democrat thing, and the Democrats are the ones that are pro-abortion per se. They both pro-abortion, but they's the one who publicly pro-abortion. And on BET, man, it was our own people up there pushing why that's the thing to do. That's the way to be.
That's it.
But let's see what happened. What did Shipra and Pua do? Did they go with it? Let's see what happened.
Okay. If it is a son, then you shall kill him. But if it is a daughter, then she shall live. But the midwives feared Elua and did not do as the king of Mizraim commanded them, but saved the male children alive. So
they couldn't do it, could they?
Couldn't do it, that's right.
But what's interesting is they didn't tell they were smart. They didn't tell the king, no, I ain't finna do that. What would have happened? The king probably would have locked him up and probably would have maybe even put him to death. So they was just like, all right. They probably were like, yeah, all right, we're gonna do it. No, we're going to do it, king. And the king probably thought we got it. Because, see, this is the thing. We don't really know, but Shipra and Pua were probably the leaders of all the midwives. So it could have been that it's something that they wanted them to champion so that they can influence all the others. Because remember, they're trying to control the population of like millions of people. A whole nation. And so, keeping that in mind, like, they couldn't just say no. They was like, yeah, we're going to do this. And then when it was time to birth the children, they just didn't do it. It says they saved the male children alive. They just didn't do it. But keep going, verse 19.
Verse 19.
Look at their excuse, too. This is a Thub excuse.
And the midwives said to Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not like the Egyptian women, but they are lively and give birth before the midwives come to them.
This is what's showing you that they were probably leaders over a company of midwives. Because you see here, they're trying to explain for why none of the midwives were doing this. You see what I'm saying? They're like, man, they give birth before the midwives get there. Man, they be giving birth before the midwives get there for real. It's interesting because that's what happened with Haraka though, huh? Yeah, it was before y'all can get to the midwife. Baby was out there, huh? So, I mean, it might have been true. Verse 20.
Therefore, Lord, dealt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied and grew very mighty. And so it was, because the midwives feared Elua, that he provided households for them.
Ain't that big? See, it's at a whole nother level when we think about that, that they were probably midwives over a company of midwives. So because of that act, because this is the thing, they risked being killed. We're talking about this because this is Purim. They risked death, and because of that basically preserved a whole generation. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like when, in the book of Esther, similar, like in the book of Esther, how she was about the kingdom. It was about her fear for the Most High before anything. So she risked everything to go ahead and it's interesting because both of them had to do with being before the king, or it'd be Pharaoh, which is the king. and how they were moving before the king is what enabled them to be able to make a decision that saved the nation in a sense. Keep going.
Verse 22. So Pharaoh commanded all his people, saying, every son who was born you shall cast into the river, and every daughter you shall save alive.
All right, so Pharaoh realized, all right, I can't get nobody to sell out. He realized, okay, I can't get none of the children of Israel to sell out. They really be devoted to their Yahuwah. We know that it ain't like that today, is it? It ain't like that today. But back then, it was like that. It was like that for us at one point in time. It ain't like that no more. We're going to talk about that. There's a reason why. They cast them into the river. So Pharaoh like, nah, I'm going to just get my people. I'm going to just get my soldiers. I'm just going to have to handle it ourselves. So he got his people to go, and they went, and it was an onslaught. It was a genocide. Where they went and they tried to kill all the male children. And they were throwing them in the river. If they could have, they would have killed all the male children. All of them. Y'all, this is the beginning story of when the children of Israel were in Egypt. This is Exodus chapter 1. This starts off with a full-blown attack on all the men. It was an attack on the men. And they said why? They were worried about them being able to whoop them. They didn't want to have to fight them one day. Now, what is this? What I submit this was really about? This was a ruach behind this whole situation. This was really about trying to prevent the Molech from coming. They were trying to prevent the Molech from coming. But you know how Yahuwah is. You can't outdo Yahuwah. It was this one ox named Moshe who his mama slipped him in the river. He escaped. He escaped the genocide by going in the river. He was in an ark. And we know the story. He ended up being raised by Pharaoh and Pharaoh's daughter. And his mama, you know. And he ended up being the king that they was trying to kill by killing all them children. The king that they was trying to take out through that slipped through the cracks just like that. He grew up, became the king. Moshe, we know that Moshe was actually, he had a kingly role. You see what I'm saying? And he led the children of Israel to destroy Mitzrayim. That was what they were trying. They knew that. It's like the Ruachs behind the pharaohs knew that was coming. That's what they was afraid of. They was like, man, they can rise up again and come against us. So what we got to do, we got to kill all the males. The one baby who slipped through ended up growing up and led the children of Israel to destroy Mitzrayim. To destroy him through Yahuwah. But why am I bringing this up? Because y'all, with that, there was a major. Well, we got to think about the landscape of the wilderness. Because right now we're in the Torah portion, we're reading Shemot 35 with Bezalel and them and all that. Y'all, there was a major shortage of men. There was a major shortage of men. I was talking about this when we were in Anderson, or Augusta, I mean. There was a men shortage in the wilderness because, number one, right in the beginning, there was a major attempt of genocide against the boys. So Moshe's generation, man, they were, compared to the number, remember, according to Torah, all the girls they saved alive. So when you talk about Moshe's generation, I submit it was way more Akio than men who made it into the wilderness.
Most definitely.
Because Hasatan, he always tries to come at the men when he's talking about the children of Israel. It's about trying to prevent the king from coming. Let's go to Bamidbar chapter 25. Numbers chapter 25. Just think about it, y'all. So you had a genocide that happened in Moshe's generation. It was a whole genocide that happened in his generation. He grows up to lead the children of Israel. So then you also have the harsh bondage that was happening. He grows up, then he leads the children of Israel out of Mitzrayim. They're in the wilderness. And then we don't think about the judgments that happen. We don't think about the judgments that happened, like when the golden calf incident happened. Those 3,000 people that got cut down. He said, everyone kill your neighbor. What was it? Torah portion last week. What did he say? Everyone kill your neighbor, your brother, and your son, or something like that? They ain't saying nothing about no Akio. I guess neighbor could mean Akio. But every man kill your brother and son. Ain't say nothing about no daughter. Ain't say nothing about no Akodi. 3,000 people. Yeah. Look at number 25. Number 25. Read verse 1.
Now Israel remained in Acacia Grove, and the people began to commit harlotry with the women of Moab.
So who would be committing harlotry with the women of Moab? Would it be Akiot? No, this was a men issue, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Keep going.
They invited the people to the sacrifices of their Elohims, and the people ate and bowed down to their Elohims. So Israel was joined with Baal of Peor, and the anger of Yahuwah was aroused against Israel. Then Yahuwah said to Moses, take all the leaders of the people and hang the offenders before Yahuwah out in the sun, that the fierce anger of Yahuwah may turn away from Israel. So Moshe said to the judges of Israel, every one of you kill his men who were joined with Baal of Peor.
Everyone do what?
Everyone kill his men who were joined with Baal.
Did it say kill any of the Akio?
Kill a man.
We're not thinking about what happened with these judgments throughout the wilderness. A lot of these was men, the men. Yep. So you already had that generation. Everybody all right, son? Okay. We through though? All right. All right. We through. Yeah, just travel this direction.
Keep it downwind.
Yeah, man. All right. So, it's all right, y'all. Just focus. You'll be all right. But the point is that this was a judgment that was on men. And right away, the Most High was like, the judge had the judges that kill those who were doing these things. Now keep reading.
Verse 6. And indeed, one of the children of Israel came and presented to his brethren a Midianite woman in the sight of Moshe.
All right, and skip to verse 9.
Verse 9. And those who died in the plague were 24,000.
How many?
24,000.
We're not talking about no small numbers. This ain't a few people.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Y'all see this? Now then you go, because this explains a lot. So then you go to the chapter 26, and the chapter 26 is just about the second census. That's when you did the second census, when they counted the people at the end of the 40-year wondering. And then go to the next chapter, 27, what it's about. Read verse 1. Go ahead, Zakim. Chapter 27, verse 1.
Then came the daughters of Zelophehad.
Zelophehad, yep.
Zelophehad, okay. The son of Hefer, the son of Gilead, the son of Mishker, the son of Manasseh, from the families of Manasseh, the son of Joseph. And these were the names of his daughters: Mahlah, Noah, Hoglah, Malchah, and Tarzah. They stood before Moshe, before Eleazar the priest, and before the leaders and all the
These
congregation.
are all daughters. Keep that in mind. And keep going.
And they stood before the leaders of all the congregation by the doorway of the tabernacle of meeting, saying, Our father died in the wilderness, but he was not in the company of those who gathered together against Yahuwah, in company with Korah, but he died in his own sin.
He died what?
He died in his own sin.
So this is showing that, man, the men, it just wasn't a lot of men. So you had a whole chapter that's, well, I don't know if it's the whole chapter, but a whole passage in Torah where you had all these daughters that were coming before Moshe because they like, man, our father was one of the people who got cut down in the wilderness. No, he wasn't wicked. He wasn't with Korah and them. He got cut down for another sin, for a different sin. It might have been the one with the harlotry in Moab, because remember, this is right after that. That 24,000 people got cut down in there.
That's a lot.
Yeah, these are men that were cut, 24,000. And you know, that's a very, very, very prophetic number. That's just 2 12s. Like the 24 elders. It's the government. And so now they're trying to see about the inheritance. Because they're like, well, what about us? Well, you know, there's no men in our family. We don't have, like, they've been cut down. It's a shortage of men. So literally, keep going.
But he died in his own sin, and he had no sons. Verse 4, why should the name of our father be removed from among his family because he had no son? Give us a possession among our father's brothers. So Moshe brought their case before Yahuwah. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, the daughters of Zelophehad speak what is right.
What did Yahuwah say?
The daughters, they speak what is right. And you should surely give them a
So
possession.
Yahuwah was like, nah, the Torah say this. It got to be, the inheritance got to be through the man. He didn't say that, did he? No, sure. He said, no, they right. Keep going.
You should surely give them a possession of an inheritance among their father's brothers, and cause the inheritance of their father to pass to them. Verse 8, and you should speak to the children of Israel, saying, if a man dies and has no son, then you should cause his inheritance to pass to his daughter.
So there was like a, I guess you could call it an amendment in Babylonian terms, to cover some of these people that were affected by all these men being cut down, by losing all these men. Right. There had to be an amendment set in place, in a sense, you know. That's just a lack of a better word for it. Right. That probably has something to do with why the Levirate marriage law was put in place. I remember the Levirate marriage law. If a man is dies but don't have any children, then that if he's married, right? Yeah, if he's married and dies and they didn't have any children yet, the wife or the widow is supposed to get with the brother. It's required. Like it's a Torah. Or nearest of kin, in a sense, basically. to try to continue an inheritance for that person who died. We saw that in the book of Ruth, right? Everybody familiar with the book of Ruth? In Ruth, there was a shortage of men. All the men died. All the men were gone. What's her name? Ruth, her husband died? I can't remember what happened. And then Naomi, her husband died too, huh? All the men were gone. And so she was moving that's where you saw the Levirate marriage take place, is when she was moving and trying to find the nearest of kin to her husband who died, and she found Boaz. Boaz was an older person, but he took her because she presented herself to him. He's like, man, you were really righteous because you could have got one of these young dudes. But in your desire to basically be obedient to the Most High, really, be obedient to Torah, you come in and look at you coming to me, to keep that inheritance for your husband. You know what I'm saying? What better way to honor your husband who, we don't think about that. If a woman loses her husband, that's a through way to honor him, is by not just marrying anybody, but actually having children with a sibling so that he could still have a seed. He could still have an inheritance. That's really interesting when we think about it. But we're far removed from that type of stuff. Let's go to Isaiah 4. All right, go ahead, Zakim.
Start on verse 1.
Yep.
Everybody there? In that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own food and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by your name to take away our reproach.
So why would that happen? What this is showing, this is like a prophecy basically prophesying about a men shortage. That's really all it boils down to. I know people try to go all kind of ways with it, you know what I'm saying? But really it's just, from a surface level, it's just about a prophecy. There's going to be a shortage of men, it's going to be a shortage of righteous men of the Most High. You see what I'm saying? And keep reading. Verse 2.
In that day, the branch of Yahuwah. In that day, the branch of Yahuwah shall be beautiful and glorious.
Oh, so in what day? In what day? Come on. Somebody said it. Come on. In what day? All right, come on, Zakim, read verse 1 again.
In that day, the branch of Yahuwah shall be beautiful and glorious. I'm sorry, verse 1. And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man.
In what day? Yeah, read it again, Zakim. In what day?
In that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man.
Okay, now read in verse 2.
In that day, the branch of Yahuwah shall be beautiful and glorious.
So in what day are they talking about? In the same day that other stuff was going on in the previous verse. That the branch of Yahuwah will be beautiful and glorious. Keep going, verse 3. Keep reading verse 2.
And the fruit of the earth shall be excellent and appealing for those of Israel who have escaped.
Y'all see this? So for those who make it, for those who endure, there's going to be a shortage of men. There's going to be a shortage of men. But things are going to be thub. Things will be thub. Things will be glorious. Things will be beautiful. And I want to say that as an encouragement to the Akio. I want to say as encouragement to the Akio. Because I know, especially our single Akio, you can be looking and be like, man, it's just not a whole lot of options. You know why? Because there's a shortage of men. Not only is there a shortage of men in the nation, there's a shortage of, in this nation, there's just a shortage of men, period, and Yasharel, period. And men are still, men are getting cut down on the regular. I shouldn't say on the regular, but men are still getting cut down. That's right. We had a meeting with the men in Payside. Anybody see that? 'Cause they posted it on the thing. Malek Yahushua had the meeting with the men. What did Malek Yahushua say? He said, yeah, it's still too many. He was right. Right after that, there was multiple more men who fell off, yeah. But don't worry. If you don't think the Most High got y'all daughters, y'all are wild. Trust Yahuwah, he got y'all. Y'all gonna be through. He gonna make sure y'all covered. You want to Ish, pray for a Ish. He'll cover you. As long as you do all the things you're supposed to do. As long as you're moving in righteousness, you know, he'll get you Ish. Don't worry. Where there's such a shortage, don't worry about all that. Yahuwah got you. Trust him, pray for him. It could be that partner who comes through next year. It can be an Ak that the Most High has you visit him the Most High might have you visit him in a dream. Be that Ak in a whole nother tribe. And he come to you and be like, man, look, are you in the process with anybody? Because look, I really think you the one, man. I done had 2 or 3 dreams about you that we was married. But you got to trust Yahuwah. When you start looking at circumstances and looking at how things look and start dealing with worry, start dealing with, what if, and start being like, oh man, I'm gonna be alone. Oh man, what if I'm gonna end up being, what if man, all that type of stuff. That's moving in doubt. That's moving in unbelief. You don't trust Yahuwah. You saying that the Most High not gonna cover you. That the Most High don't got you.
That's it.
You're saying that moving in obedience ain't gonna be through for you. Moving in obedience to Yahuwah. That's gonna be bad for you. That's what you're saying without saying it. It was always a shortage of men in Yasharel. It was always a shortage of men amongst the Kodashim. Always. There's nothing new under the sun. Keep reading as I can. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So just as a witness to what you were saying, Yeshayahu chapter 3 is right before it. Really, the whole chapter talks about the shortage of men, but he summarizes it in verse 25. It says, your men shall fall by the sword, and your mighty in the war. So, it's, again, just a shortage of men. And it always happens, particularly when it really happens like both ways, it seems, because one, it happens when we go into captivity, and then it happens when we come out, because so many people can't really come out. So many men can't really endure. That's what Shemot 1, or actually, I'm sorry, it wasn't Shemot 1 that you mentioned. It was Bamidbar 27. That's what happened. That's what the daughters of Zelophehad were talking about. It's like, man, my father was cut down by the sword because of his sin. So shortage of man, just as a witness. That's Isaiah 3:25.
No, that's real. All right, Zakane, let's keep going.
Okay, last part of verse 2. And the fruit of the rich shall be excellent and appealing for those of
What
Israel.
verse are you in?
Last part of verse 2.
Oh, okay, I'm with you.
And the fruit of the rich shall be excellent and appealing for those of Israel who have escaped. And it shall come to pass that he who is left in Zion and remains in Jerusalem will be called holy. Everyone who is recorded among the living in Jerusalem. When Yahuwah has washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion.
When Yahuwah has what?
Washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion.
Didn't that come out today?
Sure did.
That's what was happening today. Y'all even had a vision, literally seeing stuff being cleansed out of her and washed away. Wow. Let's keep going.
When you have washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion and purged the blood of Jerusalem from their midst by the
People
spirit
kept seeing red.
of judgment, by the spirit of burning. Then Yahuwah will create above every dwelling place of Mount Zion, and above her assemblies a cloud of smoke by day.
Above every dwelling place of Mount Zion, and above what?
Her assemblies.
And above what?
Her assemblies.
It's about us. Mm-hmm. A what? A cloud by smoke? I mean, a cloud and smoke by
day, in the shining of a flaming fire by night. But over all the glory, there will be a covering. Verse 6. There will be a tabernacle of shade in the daytime from the heat, for a place of refuge, and for a shelter from storm and rain. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. All right, go to Matthew chapter 2. So we don't think about that when we read the Torah and we're reading about the children of Israel in the wilderness. You're reading about Aharon, people like that. We don't think about how these are people who actually survived a genocide. Aharon was only 3 years older than Moshe. These are people that survived a genocide. These were the people that made it. These were the people that skimmed through and survived. These were the remnant that made it through all that. That's what we were reading about. Moshe, Aharon, some of the other heads, some of the other Roshim from the other tribes, Bezalel, et cetera, et cetera. Let's keep going. Korah, oh snap. Korah was from Moshe generation.
Okay.
Let's keep going.
Verse 1. Now after Messiah was born in Bethlehem of Judea, now after Yahushua was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, where is he who has been born king of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east and have come to worship him. When Herod the king heard this, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And when
Herod was afraid because they're like, man, we're the king of the Yahudim, man. We came to worship him. Right. They didn't realize who they were talking to. Keep reading. They said too much.
Verse 4. And when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he required of them where the Yahushua was to be born. Verse 5, so they said to him, in Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it is written by the prophet, but you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are not the least among the rulers of Judah. For out of you shall come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel. Then Herod, when he had secretly called the wise men, determined from them that the time the star appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and search carefully for the young child. And when you have found him, bring him back word to me, that I may come and worship him also.
Oh, really? Okay.
Verse 9. When they heard the king, they departed, and behold, the star which they had seen in the east went before them, till it came and stood over where the young child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceedingly great joy. And when they had come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary, his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented gifts to him, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Then being divinely warned in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed for their own country another way. Verse 13. Now when they had departed, behold, Amalek of Yahuwah appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, arise, take the young child and his mother, flee to Mizraim, and stay there until I bring you word. For Herod would seek the young child to destroy him. When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed for Mizraim. Verse 15. And it was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by Yahuwah through the prophet, saying, out of Mizraim I called my son. Verse 16. Then Herod, when he saw that he was deceived by the wise men, was exceedingly angry.
So the wise man basically moved like who in Shemot? Yeah, see the parallel? Yeah. He moved like the midwives. So the midwives, Pharaoh said, hey, I want you to kill all the children when they born, the boys. You can leave the daughters alive. No, he didn't say that. He said, I want you to kill all the children when they're born. All the sons when they're born, the men, the boys. They're like, okay, and then they just didn't do it, right? So he got mad, and he just sent his soldiers to kill all the boys, throw them in the river. The wise men came. King is like, yeah, show me when you find them, show them so I can come and worship them too. I'm going to go with y'all. They was like, all right. And then what they do? They didn't do it. Most High visited them and showed them in a dream. Don't do it. So they went the opposite direction, just didn't go back. So Herod felt deceived. Right. And it made him exceedingly angry, it says. And so let's see what he did.
And he set forth and put to death all the male children.
And he did what?
He set forth and put to death all the male children who are in Bethlehem.
Did it say anything about female children?
Nope.
Anything about daughters?
Nope.
All the male children who were in Bethlehem. And keep going.
From 2 years old and under, according to the time he had determined from the wise men.
But read after, read it again. All the male children who were what?
And he set forth and put to death all the male children who were in Bethlehem.
And where else?
In all of its districts.
So this wasn't just in Bethlehem. Mm-hmm. Like this was Bethlehem and the whole area. Y'all see what I'm saying? Keep going.
From 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had determined from the wise men. Verse 17. Then was fulfilled what was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet, saying, a voice was heard in Ramah, lamentation, weeping, and great mourning. Rachel weeping for her children, refusing to be comforted, because they are no more.
So here you see another genocide that happened during the times of Yahusha. Why? Because they were trying to stop the Molech from coming. It's the same thing. They were trying to stop the Molech from coming, y'all. The king. Nothing new under the sun. With Moshe, they was trying to stop Moshe from being born. They was trying to stop it. But why would they try to stop the Molech? Because they're trying to keep the kingdom from coming. Mm-hmm. The nation always knew that the kingdom of Israel coming means the end for them. They were not wrong. Herod was not wrong for being concerned. Yeah, your time is up. Yeah, your time almost up. If this means Yahushua finna be born and all that wickedness you've been into, yeah, your time is short. They were not wrong. When the Egyptians were scared that Yasharel could grow up and be mightier than them and overtake them, they were not wrong. They were not wrong. We don't think about that. We don't look at their side of it. That's it. Yeah. I don't know. You can't go up against Yahuwah. The best thing to do is to join them. You ain't going to beat them. But they wanted to try to beat Yahuwah. Instead of just joining them, that's your only option. Mm-hmm. So we don't think about that possibly even, let me see something real quick. That possibly even when you're dealing with, Bethlehem is right there, right by there. That's right in the region of Jerusalem. Yeah, it's right there, right south of Jerusalem. Because the genocide happened in Bethlehem and in all the districts around it. So now when you see that the disciples and that he called, we don't think of them as, man, these are people who might have survived that genocide. Like, these are remnants that made it. These people walking with Yahushua. We don't think about that. Keith and them. And his other apostles. I can't think right now. Yachanan, et cetera, James. You know, the list goes on. That these are people, man. You think about it, like Yachanan the Immerser. Yachanan the Immerser, man. They were born maybe 6 months apart from each other. We don't realize, man, he survived the genocide. Yeah. These are people that somehow slipped through and made it, because the Most High showed Yahushua's dad, the Most High showed Yosef to just get out of the city. If it was just only in Bethlehem, he could have just went to Jerusalem or somewhere. Why did Yahuwah tell him to go all the way to Egypt? Y'all see what I'm saying?
That's right.
No, this genocide was happening in that whole region. That's why they had to get out of the country and blend in amongst the Africans in Egypt. I had to throw that in there. Now, when you read the Brit Hadashah, when you're reading the New Testament, it's a whole nother context that we didn't think about. Why was Yahushua dealing with the Pharisees about how they were moving with women like they was? Was it because there was a major shortage of men going on in Yasharel? Think about it, y'all. The Pharisees were doing stuff like, we talked about this before. They would get women, they would put them away and so they can get with the next female without fully divorcing that one. And so Yahushua was literally dealing with them on this stuff. He was dealing with them on a lot of different things surrounding the way. They, like the Pharisees was doing females bad. They were mistreating women. We wonder why Yahushua Told him, man, say that girl was caught, that lady was caught in adultery. And he's like, yeah, nah, let her go. He's who without sin cast the first stone. We don't know what kind of stuff was going on because there was so much mistreatment of women going on during the days of Yahusha by the Pharisaical order and things like that. When we talk that part of the Brit Hadashah, we talk about if you marry and remarry, that you committed adultery. And we talked about what that really means. You know, I know there's some churches and stuff. I know because if you just read the English, it just seems like if a woman marries, divorces and remarries, that means she commits adultery. No, that's not what it's saying. You got to look at the, look deeper into it. But it's talking about putting them away because the Pharisees were putting away women left and right and then going and remarrying or getting with the next female. And what happens is since you didn't put away her over there, since you didn't divorce her, you just put her away, she's still married. So if she gets with somebody else, that's adultery. You see what I'm saying? There was a shortage of men, I submit to y'all. That's what was going on. That's what it boils down to. It was a major shortage of men. So basically, and this is how it works. This is the pattern I want to point out. Whenever the time of redemption is here, the enemy many times tries to stop that from happening by cutting down the men. It usually happens whenever there's the time of redemption. When it's time for the kingdom to be established. So one way to be able to tell if it's time for the kingdom to come, has there been any kind of attack on the men? Because the men are the ones who are to lead the kingdom. Has there? Aren't we saying that right now it's time for the kingdom to come? The kingdom is here? You got the hood culture. That ain't no real. They look like some wannabe rejects, but that's a picture I can find real quick.
Hood rats.
But you have the hood culture where homicides are real high. What's the majority of who's the majority of those homicides happening to?
Hebrews.
Black men, males. When you look at that stuff that be going on in Chicago, when you look at that stuff that be going on in different cities across the country, the majority of the people who are dying are black males, black men. What about this?
Oh, no.
So as far as the quote-unquote black-on-black crime, we know that's deliberate and on purpose. It's a direct attack against the black males, the men, the Hebrew men, to try to lower the population. What about this, though? Right, the feminization of black men, especially. Anybody who has eyes can see that there's been a major push on the feminization of Hebrew men. Think about just in our grandparents' generation. I should say my grandparents, because y'all grandparents is like us. But I mean, in my grandparents' generation, I know, right? They were 18, 19, 20. The men were leading major movements. Malek's been talking about this. What's that one movie that just came out with the Black Panther? No. Black Panther, the Black Panther, one from Houston. I mean, Chicago. Yeah. What was his name? Fred Hampton. Anybody familiar with Fred Hampton? Dang, y'all gotta watch that movie, man. I usually don't. You don't gotta watch the movie. You could just watch a documentary on them. That's even better, because the movies always, Hollywood things. But the movie wasn't that bad, though. It was pretty good, actually. But Fred Hampton was a leader of the Black Panthers in the Chicago chapter. He was like 20, 21. When you see how articulate he was, how his speech was at 20, 21, how literate he was, to where he was able to lead not only the Black Panthers, but he had a whole bunch of people from the other nations who was on his side. And so what happened was the government looked at that as a super threat, because he was getting white people, he had Hispanics, he had all nations who was on his side, and he's literally speaking against, the injustices and things. This is a 21-year-old Ock, man. They tried to put him in jail a couple of times. He ended up beating, I think he represented himself too that second time and beat the case. And so finally the police put a hit on him and killed him. They kicked out his house and killed him. He was like maybe 22. Led a whole movement. But he started way younger. I think he was like 20 when he started. He died at 21, so he might have been like 19 when he started then. And he was, I'm talking about speeches, great speeches. You can look him up, you could YouTube. He's a very well-known Black Panther who he, just got like senselessly murdered by the police. He didn't do nothing. It was just because of he was a threat because of his influence. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all, like that influence, that man terrifies the nations. But this is what I want to point out. What about, man, y'all don't know who Fred Hampton is, boy. Man, yeah, we're going to have to, man. What about, who's the leader of the Black Panthers? Who's the one who started Black Panthers? What was his name? Huey P. Newton. Anybody familiar with Huey P. Newton? He was young too. Super young. We're not talking about like he was so smart he would be able to go before the police and tell them what the laws are. No, we can bear arms because the laws in Statute 123 in the Article of the Confederacy, whatever, in the Constitution, it says that we have the right to bear arms, so we gonna bear arms. And so they would walk around, with the government looked at that as a major threat, because man, they knew the law, they were smart and young. We talking 20s, early 20s. And so the government systematically took them out, and we know about the COINTELPRO, we know about all that. But my point is, y'all thought they was gonna stop right there? No, they like, oh snap, man, the children of Israel, these men are too dangerous, man. They 18, 19, 20, leading whole movements.
You own it.
Let's deal shrewdly with them. Lest they do some stuff and overtake us. And so that's when you get stuff like that. We got to do something. If they're not masculine, ain't nobody running no movement. If we make them feminine, Oh man, they ain't finna do nothing. When we think feminine, we feminizing a black man, we just think about they're not gonna be reproducing. Oh, there's way more to it than that. Way more to it than that. Y'all know the Black Lives Matter. One of the main leaders, they tried to have a gay. Y'all remember that dude? It was a gay dude. I forgot his name. Ain't nobody follow him. You're not gonna have that. You're not gonna have that in you if you're a feminized dude. There's something about being it's something that Yahuwah puts in us when it comes to that testosterone, to be a warrior, to be ready to give your life for the people, all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? To be ready to be. You ain't gonna, if you feminize, you not. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. You might could talk well. You could talk all day. But the Malcolm X's, the Martin Luther Kings, those, I'm just naming them right now. I know they had their flaws. I understand. But these are the people that we can talk about from recent history. This is in our parents' day, well, my parents' times and grandparents. Who were men who led and made things happen. They were able to influence things, and because of that, they were systematically killed. They were taken out. Martin Luther King is documented he was killed by the government, y'all. Malcolm X, it's the same thing. I know what you're saying, but if you go down to the root of it, he was killed by the government too. Yeah. Fred Hampton, same thing. The list goes on and on. And so, could y'all imagine somebody 19, 20 doing what Fred Hampton did now? It's coming back. But no. Because the reality is that everybody's gay. If they're not gay, they're on this stuff like this. If they're not on that, then they on this.
Time out.
Mass incarceration hit right out, literally it was right after all that. Right once they took out Martin Luther King, once they took out Malcolm X, huh? Oh yeah. Once they took out those leaders, then you saw mass incarceration kick in. A few years later. Once they took out all those leaders, Malcolm X, Fred Hampton, Huey P. Newton, then all of a sudden you saw something happen called crack pour into the neighborhoods. These were all attacks against the men. I'm going to just play a little bit of this real quick.
Is him right there? Okay. Got killed too.
Look at hip hop today, and you look at the power involved with certain artists. These guys. When you look at certain things like the drug culture that seems to have gotten in hip hop over the last 5 years, because in the 90s.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Yeah.
You didn't really see the same kind of drug culture. People smoked weed and so forth, but no one talked about sniffing coke. No one bragged about smoking crack. Whereas you
Also got
gender fluidity. That is not what we have documented, Brother Vlad. This phenomenon is absolutely not accidental. It is very deliberate. The psychopharmaceutical interventions that I just described, that the U.S. government put $400 million aside for, they are at the root of this phenomenon of feminized men. We have documented a whole host of gender bending chemicals that this government is concentrating in the city. And regarding this weaponized marijuana and Molly, I said those are the two bullets. See, both this weaponized marijuana, both Loud and Molly, feminized the black male. Say that again. Both Loud and Molly feminized the black male. Loud and Molly is a big contributor to the feminizing phenomenon that we see. This weaponized marijuana is THC, it's enhanced THC content, assaults the testosterone of men, and the smoke at the end of that joint produces chemicals, phenols, that are estrogenic. And so the smoking of a joint or a blunt lowers, on the long term, lowers testosterone, increases estrogen. And so that's why you have so much femininity even in the very physiology of this young generation of black males. The millennial generation and beyond, because they started smoking younger than my generation did. And it is a fact that young males who start smoking before 16,
We'll leave it at that. So that was a big thing, is the drug culture. They don't, like, people don't realize that the government had a hand in the drug culture. So you don't think they're gonna have a hand in what they put in the drugs? According to Dr. Wesley Muhammad, now I know he's not a follower of Yahuwah or none of that, but again, this is someone who actually studies the topic. He's a doctor. We're talking from a scholastic perspective. We'll look at we'll read stuff from scientists, right? They may not be serving Yahuwah or none of that. That don't mean the information from their research ain't correct. We read from scientists. We'll go to the doctor. Ain't no doctors in the hospital. None of them serving Yahuwah. But if they say, man, look, I think you're low on your iron. From the readings when I read, you're low on iron. We're not gonna be like, I don't believe you, because you don't serve the Most High. He is a doctor. He's a well-studied person, a well-learned person, and he studied these topics. And what he is saying is very interesting. That these strains of weed, of marijuana, that everybody's smoking now. That's why all the young people smoke weed. All the young people. They put chemicals in there that's what's feminizing. That's a major contributing factor to what's feminizing them. Y'all, listen. You don't have to be no specialist or no rocket scientist. You ain't have to live that long to see how big of a difference it was just 20 years ago versus today, as far as how many of our boys and males and men are feminized or gay. When I was in high school, we didn't have that. When I was growing up, we just didn't have that. It might have been like one or two, and that was looked at as like they were outcasts. You know what I'm saying? It was like taboo is the right word. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't normal. Now, man, I think I went to the mall one time. All the young people, they was gay. Not 100%, but man, it's crazy. How in the world they gonna start any kind of movement or do anything to make anything move if that's what they focus is on? How are they gonna reproduce? We'll get on the reproducing part. They will never have children. They won't. They're never gonna have children. They're gonna be steeped into their perversion. Most of them, for the rest of their life, they'll never have children. So what does that leave for Akio? I didn't even get into about all the men who don't deal with Hebrew women. They're like, nah, we don't know. They have an attitude. Why is all this happening, though? Then you got abortion. I can't think about how many millions of people were babies were taken out from abortion. That's not targeted to the other nations. It's not. It's only targeted to you only. All this is happening because it's time for the kingdom to come, y'all. All this is happening because the nations have a ruach behind them that know that a kingdom is coming that will end their dominion. You know, Hasatan knows the scriptures. Y'all don't think he knows what's in these prophecies? So what about the nations that are in covenant with Hasatan, which is all the nations? He gonna push them to do whatever they can to keep this thing from happening, or to at least slow it down. But you got to endure to the end. You got to be one of the ones that's left. Let's go to, man, I must have accidentally deleted this one slide, but it's okay. No, here it goes. In the Torah portion, Shemot chapter 38, I got it right here. It says, he made the laver of bronze and its base of bronze from the bronze mirrors of the serving women who assembled at the door of the tabernacle of meeting. It's interesting that, hold on, who all read the Torah portion? Oh, Hezekiah, we're going to have to talk because we're in the same house. You ain't read the Torah portion? Oh, man. All right. Oh, Deron. Oh, yeah, we're going to have to talk. All right, well, that's due. Most of everybody. Most of everybody. Hallelujah. I see you over there. Caleb did too? Oh, man. So basically, the Torah portion goes into, it starts off with Yahuwah telling the children of Israel to give with a willing heart. So they give their possessions for the building of the tabernacle. They give it with a willing heart, nadib, a willing heart. That word actually means prince. It means of nobility. So it's a mindset of nobility to give. It's a mindset of nobility. And you see that in the world too. You know, it's the nobility who does who lobbies, who does those types of things. And the Most High has us to move in nobility, to have that mindset, which means that we're ready to give when it comes to the kingdom. The other nations, when it comes to their kingdom, oh man, those of nobility, they're going to give crazy amount of money. When it comes to their kingdom and the betterment of their kingdom, oh yeah. Nadib, a willing heart. And so then it transitions and it talks about all the things that was given, and the people had gave more than enough so that the tabernacle was able to be built. And then it goes into a couple of people that Yahuwah appointed to build the articles of the tabernacle, Bezalel and Aholiab. Bezalel was skilled in wisdom in all manner of workmanship. Remember we talked about that workmanship, malaka. That's the same word for kingdom. Or it's closely related to the word for kingdom. Kingdom malkut. It's the same word as it's the similar word as malak, messenger as well, or angel. So it's showing you that your business, your workmanship is about the kingdom. You know what I'm saying? And it's given to you. Remember we talked about it. It's delivered to you by a messenger. How do messengers usually deliver message? A malak. Malaka, workmanship, business is usually delivered to you by a malak. That's why those Hebrew words are related to each other. Malak, malaka. What's the way that a messenger will deliver a message to you? Through dreams? Through a person? Through visions, right? Through signs. Yahuwah probably visited Bezalel in multiple visions and dreams. Probably what happened. And showed him this is what it was going to be, and then Moshe probably confirmed it by saying, hey, look here, I need to talk to you real quick, man. Moshe showed me some things, man. I need you to build the Ark of the Covenant. I need you to build these other things too, the altar of burnt offering, where we're going to offer all the offerings to the Most High. I want you to build it. I'm choosing you, man. Look, the Most High, I want you to do this. And he probably was like, man, that's confirmation. I just had a dream like 2 days ago. And he was moving forward. So he built those things. Then it goes into the specifics surrounding the different articles of the tabernacle, right? So it goes into the altar of burnt offering, the Ark of the Covenant. And then it goes into the bronze laver. Now, bronze laver was different. It said he made the laver of bronze and his base of bronze from the bronze mirrors of the servant women who assembled at the door of the tabernacle of meeting. Now, I'll submit that's not what this is saying. That's not what this is saying. Y'all, the lavers were made out of bronze. Like, the laver, it was a bronze laver, just like the altar burnt offering was made out of bronze. How come that wasn't made out of mirrors? That word is mara. It actually means a vision, y'all. It's only translated as mirror one time in the whole scripture. That word mara is about a vision. The bronze laver was created based off visions that the Most High revealed to the Achiot, who assembled at the door, y'all. The bronze laver came from what Yahuwah revealed to the Achiot. These weren't just any of the Achiot. These were the faithful ones. These were the ones who assembled at the door of the tabernacle. It's just showing the significance of the Achiot, y'all. See, the word, The Achaeot are closely related to the word because they're the first teachers. That's why Proverbs says, do not forsake the Torah of your mother. The washing of the water with the word. So be encouraged, y'all. Be encouraged. Yahuwah will never leave you nor forsaken you as long as you submit yourself to him. He will bless you tremendously. He will continue to guide you and keep you as long as you submit yourself to him and serve him and walking in truth. There's a shortage of men, yes, but it's always been that way. Don't get weary. Be in shalom. Embrace those who the Most High has set up to cover you. Embrace your hundredfold family. Be who Yahuwah called you to be. Because the kingdom of heaven is here. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
So next time your friends be on there talking about, bragging about all the weed they smoking and all that, you got something you can tell them now. For real. When you're dealing with anything that's testosterone does a whole lot more than enable you to be fruitful. It's a whole lot more than testosterone. That's something that the Most High puts in men to enable them to do a lot more, to be strong, to be assertive, to fight for their family, to fight for their brethren. That's testosterone. Also features. Testosterone has a big part of manly features. The way that men develop muscles, naturally men are usually stronger than women. It's because of the testosterone. The way that men develop muscles different than women. Although a lot of it's from testosterone. So if there's something that's stopping that and blocking that, then that's why you even see men be so feminine that even you see it in their features. This is just the stuff that's been brought out. There's probably way more to it than that, because I have a lot of I'm very skeptical about some of the stuff going on with some of those school meals in the public school. It don't make no sense for the food to be that bad, for real. It don't make no sense. If you can go to Mickey D's and get better food than that, come on, man. They putting chemicals in that food. How you can't even the fruit not good for you? How? That joke wild, for real. Even the healthy stuff not good for you. There's so much stuff. We just really was just kind of doing a run through, but But be encouraged because that's a sign that the kingdom's at hand. Hallelujah.
Come on, I'd like to add to that on the other end of the spectrum, you got women being masculized, you know. I ain't never seen so many masculine women, you know, butch women. You know, we didn't have that back in the day when I was growing up, you know. There was very little of that, you know. And even we know with males, you know, we didn't see that. And if it was, you know, they kept it on the hush. But they're masculizing the women, so that's a 1-2 punch, you know. They're getting the men and the women. Hallelujah.
Zakan, give me Revelation 12 real quick. And just read verse 4. Revelation 12, verse 4.
His tail drew a third of the stars of Shamayim and threw them to the Eretz. And the dragon stood before the woman who was ready to give birth to devour her child as soon as it was born.
To devour who?
Her child as soon as it was born.
And who was the child? Verse 5.
She bore a male child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron.
That was a Melech, wasn't it? A male child who was to rule all nations.
That's Melech, that's right.
And who was trying to devour the male child?
Dragon.
Who was trying to devour the male child, not leadership? Right, the dragon, Hasatan. Thank you. So this is just a verse that's just proving what I'm trying to say, that all those times, because that was actually a prophecy in Revelation referring to what happened when Herod tried to kill the children. You see what I'm saying? It's showing you that it was Hasatan behind that. That's a scripture proving that. You see what I'm saying?
That's it.
And the same thing with Moshe. So it's just about knowing the root of these things.
All right, so we are, let's see. All right, so the first message in the Q&A chat is Uriah. So she put the slides that Mushal had up there. So this, and then I put, so we at 8:07. If you go to the chat, go to the bottom and then just go up till you see 8:07 p.m. So that root, so when it talks about in Exodus 1:14 how all their service in which they made them serve was with rigor, it's kind of interesting because the root word for that word rigor is actually whip. So it's kind of like they made them serve under like harsh slavery. Yeah, it goes back to the word whip, to be broke. All right, so. Oh yeah, do y'all know what that means? Like parking lot Shabbat question and Rebirth ATX questions and comment chat.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna go Ima Yasha. She said, in today's time, there has been a shortage of men due to imprisonment in our community. Yeah, that's part of the reason. Yeah. Shimshon said, Judas the Black Mashiach movie.
Like, man, today, there's whole communities where there ain't no men in the house. Like, it'd be like 70% single women households. Like, when you go to them, man, it'd be more than that. When you go to, like, projects and places, it'd be 80, 90% no men in the house, for real. Like, man, this stuff is crazy. Like, this stuff is crazy.
Yes, I'm not. Run that back to Shimshon.
Yeah, I think it was huge that you was kind of bringing them up because, everything that they all had in common was that they didn't have Yahuwah, but like if you look at the way they moved and how powerful they was, like if as the jungle and as young men, if we moving like that, like for Yahuwah, like think about how much more significant it's gonna be because the only thing that they ain't have was Yahuwah. And the same thing, like another one was Tupac. Like you could talk about Tupac and his raps and stuff, but like later on, as he started, like as he got after he got locked up and stuff, they had to kill him because like he was gonna start something, but like they just didn't have Yahuwah. So like the same zeal. What I'm saying is like we gotta have the same zeal like Malcolm X had, like by any means necessary. Like we gonna stand for Yahuwah, and then like it'll turn into what Yahuwah turned into. So.
So so Shimshon put Judas the Black Mashiach movie, quote unquote movie.
Yeah, just to land back real quick on what Shimshon just said too. I just want to emphasize this. There's you can't even see like the stuff. Even Tupac, he was like 26 when he got killed. He was 20 something. He was young. 25, yeah. And he was in that generation when stuff first started going way left, though. That's right around that time, man. Once you get to like the late 80s, early 90s, man, that was it. Man, when you go back to the 70s, though, and look at how our children were, our people were, like you just cannot even imagine our people being nothing like that at that young of an age. Like you just can't even, it's not even a thing to conceptualize it. Because they did such a number. Like, yeah.
Yeah, that's actually what I was trying to go into. Cause see, I didn't realize this, but Bunchy Carter, he's a part of the Black Panthers as well. Y'all can look him up. But I put his picture in here. I didn't realize he was in his 20s. Like Bunchy Carter was huge, man. He was huge. And so what it made me think about, because as you was talking about that, I was asking the sons, I was like, man, y'all know who he talking about? They knew what you was talking about, but they don't know who that is. And that gotta be a challenge to y'all, because y'all can't even sit still at Shabbat. And you got people out here leading whole movements. Like at 19, 20 years old, it just shows you how low the standard has become. How low the standard is. So really what y'all should do is really go home and start looking into these things. Because we can drive y'all to become these things, but really it's on the person who has to be to become. Now, we can desire it, but this should really show you like, man, I'm 13, 15, 17, 18, 19 years old, and I'm not really ready to run no kingdom. I'm not ready to lead no movement. I can't even show up on time to places. So it's just something to really think about. It ain't nothing to discourage you, but it's something that you should be like, all right, man, I gotta bridge the gap back, because really, this wasn't that long ago. This like the 70s. That's what you were just saying. It's not that long ago. So what happened? And if you look, I think you did it. I think one of the things that happened is that we found other things to take our attention, to take y'all attention. I know my generation is bad on that. That's, we were the Atari generation. Like we went from Atari to Nintendo to Sega, and then to Nintendo 64, so on and so on and so on. But the amount of games that y'all play, Cable? Yeah. All these things take your attention. So what happens is you begin to think like, oh man, I'm through. I'm through. This is why you have a hard time sitting still and listening. Some of y'all already done checked out. And I've been talking for like 2 minutes, if that. But really start challenging yourself and stretching yourself. To y'all who are younger than, probably 12, like your whole world dynamic is about to shift. Your whole paradigm on what you think reality is about to shift. Anthony, Jair, David, Jameer, who else? Mac. I don't see Mac though. Oh, he over there? He sleep? Oh, okay. Yeah, so y'all whole paradigm about to shift because the standards is going to be raised, but y'all will get more of that later. But I just think that's the point Mushal brought out was crazy. Yeah, I didn't realize most of the Black Panthers was in their 20s. I always assumed they was like 30-something. I never really looked.
We studied them in Hebrew.
Oh, they.
I just wanted to kind of confirm something more Emmanuel was saying just now about, with all the distractions and stuff like that, how it just kind of take away from stuff. It's just a minor example. So sometime in December, our TV had broke, and I just decided not to get another one. So I don't have a TV in my home, and Jair was super like into TV, like 24/7, like super addicted. So that's how it actually started off. It started off with Yahuwah telling me that he don't want Jair to be watching TV. Then like 3 days after that, the TV broke. So then that was like confirmation for me. And it's not that I couldn't go get another one. It was just like we was already like a week or two in. That was just like, oh well, I mean, I don't see the big deal. When I tell you guys, Jair is not the same person. That was back in December. Jair, because he don't have TV anymore, like I started noticing other things that he could do that I never noticed that he could do, that he probably didn't even know he could do. Like he loved to draw. I never knew that until he didn't have TV anymore. He looks forward to reading the Torah portion. When it's time to read it, he looks forward to coming to Shabbat. Now, all of a sudden, he partakes in Shabbat, partakes in praise and worship. Jair never danced in praise and worship before. Everything he talks about is Yahuwah because he don't have no other distractions. Like his whole life is Yahuwah because of, the household that he live in. He don't have no TV, no none of that. So, that's all he's being constantly fed, and he don't have the worldly distractions, and he's just not even the same person. Like it is like crazy to me. It's really crazy how much he pays attention, even like when I teaching him and stuff like that now. It's like he retains the stuff that I'm saying. You know what I mean? And yeah. So I just wanted to confirm that.
No, that's real. Come here, Jair. Come here. So he been sitting here the entire time. He sat here the entire time and paid attention to the lesson. How old are you?
4.
Oh, he's 4? I thought he was like 6. But nah, he sat here the entire time, y'all. So I think what she's saying, it's real. Because I sat here and looked at him. And then I looked at the older sons. I'm like, praise Yahusha for the next generation. Hallelujah. Go ahead, sit down. His attention span, yeah. Yeah.
The TV, the games, all of those things causes your brain to have to multitask, and it always causes you to have to react always whenever you're having conversations or things are going on. But when you're not in front of the TV and you're engaged in things that make you sit and do those things, it helps you to create a better focus, communication, understanding, and comprehension. And so those are things, that's what it does whenever you're just focused on what Yahuwah has for you to do and what he's trying to teach you. Because there's no distractions. There's nothing to make you say, oh, rabbit, squirrel. It's nothing to cause those things. But you learn it because every time you watch TV, it's always one thing happening. There's somebody over there doing something. There's somebody over here. And it's the same thing with the game because you're always having to keep up with something. So that's just a yield.
Sorry, that's what I wanted to say. Not that, but since not having TV, I actually could confidently say I wouldn't get another TV. Like I would not buy another TV for my household because I feel like since we haven't had the TV, life is normal. Like there's nothing not normal. The only thing is now, I actually have to be there pretending to be a Ninja Turtle and, playing and stuff more. Stuff like that. But, that's going to bring forth another fruit. Like we spending time, we doing we doing this, now he more engaged with his siblings, like they're more engaged with each other, it's not like, and then now me as a parent, like I have to learn how to function and have them in my midst at the same time because the TV would babysit them. You know what I mean? When I in my prayer time, so now it challenges me. You know what I mean? To be, be able to, you know what I mean? But even like when I think about the future, like I say, I just don't think that I don't think it's necessary. I ain't trying to tell nobody don't get no TV. But I'm just saying, from my experience, I don't feel like it's necessary at all. And because we don't have it anymore. I don't know if Yahoo just been giving me a kind of little revelation about the TV, but I could 100%, not 100%, but 90% control what's going into my child. Like I don't have to worry about, even if you're watching a tube show, it's like, the little ads that'll come up, or like they be saying all kind of little stuff, they pushing all kind of homosexuality, all kind of stuff in Disney Channel shows, like these same little kid shows, you know what I mean? And it's the subliminal stuff. You know what I mean? It's the stuff that go into their subconscious that they ain't even, they're just looking at this show, but it's all the little hidden stuff that even us as parents don't even really realize that they have in there, just targeting the children. And Malek Musha video with the deception video, that's warfare. TV is warfare against our children. You know what I mean? Like they know that that's something that they're always going to be looking at, TV. So of course they're going to target them in the TV with the shows, the children shows, all these stuff. You know what I mean? Menorah was another one, she would watch this children woman, Miss Rachel, if anybody know her. Just a simple little lady teaching little, kid stuff or whatever the kids, and Yahuwah was like, yeah, nah, she don't need that. So when I am teaching them, he would allow me to put on like a ABC video or whatever, you know what I mean? Or if I do in a Torah portion, like the little tabernacle video, like just little stuff, but they just can't just willy-nilly just do that, you know what I mean? So I just wanted to say that about having control over what's being put in them, so you don't have to, you know what I mean? Like I know what's going inside of you. And whatever is going inside of you is going to come out. And that's what I was trying to explain with Jair, is like all Jair talks about is Yahuwah. All he talks about is the Shamayim. Oh, he can't wait to go to the Shamayim. Oh, he want to play angels. Or everything is with him is Yahuwah. It relates to Yahuwah. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to say that.
Oh, yeah.
You need a mic. I don't know why you have to.
I was gonna say, just think of like, when your children are asleep and they're playing all these crazy things. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know the little children is cartoons, but the older ones is games, still playing, or some dumb person. I'm sorry. Somebody that's like, taking toys and throwing it into water, or somebody, or children sitting there watching a grown adult play the games, and they curse every now and then. It's just like things like that, it's like, what are you putting in you? I guess it's the main thing I'm saying, because it's the opposite with when you're putting the word in them. You put in the scriptures, you allowing the Bible to play, you allowing the songs of Yahuwah to play. It strengthens your ruach to be able to conquer the things of the flesh. And so it's just things like that, just to be mindful of, especially with the Yeladim. They looking at all kind of dragons and all kind of other stuff, trolls, and I mean, you just don't know what it's tapping into that was in the bloodline that we got cleansed because we used to watch it. Because I know I used to watch all that craziness, just because it was just colors and people doing something and they had like a story to it, but you really look at it and it's like, it's worse now, because now the stories are, oh, I want to go over to little Betsy house, or whatever the situation. I'm going to throw a couple ABCs in there, some other words and some things like that, or a story, but really this is the real moral of my story. And I'm trying to change and shape you and make you think like I think. So I'm just, per usual.
I know one thing that I noticed
is how much time is wasted. I think for me, that's the biggest part is the amount of time that could be building the kingdom is wasted on playing hours and hours and hours and hours of video games. When, especially me, I have a lot of boys. And I'm like, why aren't you on YouTube or the internet or whatever trying to learn a skill, trying to see how to keep the animals or how to do this or how stuff that's going to build the kingdom. But spending hours and hours, it lures you in a video game. It makes you want to keep going and keep going, especially if you're playing a competitive type of game and your team keep losing. You're going to keep trying to win. And it pulls you in this cycle. And then you look up and you've been playing video games all day. It's like sundown now. You know, you might take a pause, you know, say your prayer time, you know, and then even you notice your prayer time start getting shorter. The amount of time you might have
Because
spent.
you're trying to hurry up just so you can get back on the game.
Right. The amount of time you might have spent watching the teachings or whatever. Now, you don't even spend that time doing that anymore because you're spending a lot of time playing video games. You have to have self-control. You have to know. And I'm the same with myself. Like, if I start checking, you know, Facebook, even though majority of people that's on my Facebook are, you know, part of Rebirth. And I might be reading through stuff, you know, but it takes away time from, say, doing the calendar to help to build the kingdom. I said majority.
Those reels are designed to keep you hooked too.
Yeah, all you have these reels, and I don't watch, like, you know, Housewives or none of that stuff anymore. But those reels be popping up, and you be saying, oh, this is going on now with that. Oh, that's a mess, you know. But still, it's a distraction. And so then you find where you had time, you're supposed to be doing this, but you playing video games or on social media, on the phone with your friends that's in the world cussing and stuff, and you taking away from building the kingdom. That's why during the time of Black Panther Party, they understood the need for our people to not be captive. They had that hunger and that thirst for trying to make the communities better. Y'all should be hungering and thirsting for building this kingdom, for setting a through example for the ones that's coming up after you. You know, she is prep day. Everything should be clean. There shouldn't be no piles of trash or recycle or none of that. Nobody should have to say that, you know, but no, you get sidetracked. You get sidetracked when you're doing other things, and it's a waste of time, and it's a waste of Yahuwah's time, because we don't have a lot of time. He is expecting us to build his kingdom so he can come and rule and reign. And he's going to send out his Malachim to see and search, are they ready for me? Do they have everything through and to where, you know, it's my turn to come down. And we don't want them to be like, yeah, nah, they slipping, they over there playing video games, and they not even, you done gave them the land, they not even focused on trying to build the land no more. Like, you know, you don't want a report to go back to Yahuwah and he see how much time we're wasting and we're not spending that time building the kingdom, because it makes him feel like the kingdom is not important to us as it is to him. And I'm not talking just to you all, I'm talking to myself too. We all have to check ourselves and introspect and really ask ourselves, how much time a day am I building the kingdom? Start tracking what you're doing, what your time is doing. Start tracking it from, 9 to 10, I was doing this, from 11. So you can see, I ate for this many hours. I prayed for this many hours. I played video games for this many hours. I talked on the phone for this many minutes or hours, whatever. So you can start seeing, to be able to adjust yourself to start being intentional about his kingdom and intentional about building his kingdom. And that's for not just the children, but for the adults too. And not just the older children, but the adults for the little children. What skills are we teaching our children, little children, how to garden, how to even start growing stuff inside the house? You know, are we doing things like that with them to help them to be kingdom builders? And so we have a great responsibility, and I just wanted to throw that out there because I know the Most High have been getting on me about that, just, you know, making sure, because you could be doing a through thing, but it's not building his kingdom. It's not pushing his kingdom further to the next level to becoming a true nation. And so we just have to introspect, time log, keep a time log on what you're doing. You was reading for this much time. Yeah, you reading. That might be a through thing, but what you reading? Is it a distraction, or are you reading how to, say, build a house? Or something that's going to help to build the kingdom? Praise you.
I just want to say also with that building is keeping up with what's going on in the kingdom, watching the lessons and being able to regurgitate those things, right? Let them become a part of you to where you can duplicate, because that's a part of building the kingdom too. How can you take what you're learning and train up a child while they're young so they won't depart where you're not doing the things that's needed also? So that's a part of the building of the kingdom also. So it's about building the physical kingdom, and it's about building up the temple, which is each of us, which makes up that tabernacle.
So what I'ma just say is confirmation to one of the things that stuck out to me in the Torah portion. When I was reading the Torah portion, I was kind of taking notes about stuff that stuck out to me. So one of the things that stuck out to me was the different things that Yahuwah had given instructions to on how to build a tabernacle. And he gave them not only riches in monetary value and physical things, but he also gave them spiritual gifts, you know, telling them like exactly how to do this thing and the skill to do it. And one of the things that it made me think about was, what if he had given them the wisdom and the ability to do this thing, but then they didn't use what he gave them to build a tabernacle? So it makes me think about, like, if it isn't to build his kingdom, then what's the point? You know, like the impartations and stuff that we receive, what are we doing with those things? Are we using it to build a kingdom? You know, it made me think about like the parable of the talents in Matthew 25. What are we doing with the talents that Yahusha gave us? Are we multiplying it to give it back to him by and using it to build his kingdom, or are we burying it and keeping it to ourselves? So that's what it made me think about, you know, in the Torah, in that part of the Torah portion. The part that stuck out to me in the Torah portion was when Yahuwah was given instructions on exactly how to build a tabernacle. And I think it was Bezalel and somebody else that he like gave the wisdom of how to, like, exactly what he wanted them to do and how he wanted them to do it. And thinking, you know, that Yahuwah not only gave them the riches and monetary value, but also in spiritual, because wisdom is a spiritual thing. Like, that's not something that you could buy. That's something that Yahuwah have to give you. And so if, you know, Bezalel Yahuwah could have gave him that knowledge and that wisdom to do the thing, but he could have buried his talent, you know? So that's one of the things that stuck out to me. If Yahuwah is giving us these things, you know, impartations and stuff like that, and we're not using it to duplicate and build his kingdom, then what's the point of him giving us these things? Are we burying our talents? Or are we multiplying it to give it back to Yahusha to build his kingdom? So that's one of the things that stuck out to me. The other part that stuck out to me was when Yahuwah told Moshe to tell the children of Israel, whoever had a willing heart, to donate their valuables to build a kingdom. So their valuables are the things that they acquired from the Mitzrayim, from the Mitzrites. So these aren't things that they always possessed, because I submit if they did always have these possessions, they would have left captivity. Like if they were rich, why stay in Mitzrayim and have to endure the things that you're going through? So with the possessions that Yahuwah provided them and supplied for their need, you know, why not have a willing heart to give it back to him, because you know that he already provided for you the first time. So just trusting in Yahuwah that he's your provider and he's already made a way. So he's going to make a way. If he tell you to give this thing or do this thing to build his kingdom, he's going to give it back because he gave it to you in the first place. So that stuck out.
No, I'm glad I brought that out, Toda, because the Torah portion of Scripture said that anyone with a willing heart. So what that hints is that if you don't have a willing heart, don't give nothing. So there are probably some people who wasn't there, who didn't participate. There are probably some people who didn't participate, and they still have more than enough. You know what I'm saying? And what they were given was what Yahuwah already blessed them with. Yahuwah, this was the things that Yahuwah put it on the Mitzrites to give them their possessions. So everybody should have been. Well, he shouldn't have had to say those who got a willing heart. Everybody should have been like right there, like ready, because these are the stuff Yahuwah already blessed them with. You know what I'm saying? But you know how Yasharel can be. There were probably a lot of people who didn't do it. Now, it was a willing heart, so it's an issue of the heart. Because it's where your treasure is, there's where your heart will be also. You see what I'm saying? And so what it was showing was that those who didn't give is because their heart wasn't with Yahuwah. That's what it was showing. I really believe that's what it was showing. That's why when Yahusha said where your treasure is, there your heart will be also, I really believe he was probably referring to passages like this in the Torah. Because it was all about the heart. He was like, those who has a willing heart, and it's really Nadib, you know, nobility, prince, a willing heart. And so, with that being said, the chorus, when we read about them people and stuff like that, they probably was one of the people that didn't participate, for real. For real. Cora was probably like, man, Moshe always trying to ask for something, trying to see if we can give something. Nah, man, is it required? Is this, it's not a requirement? There you go. For real. Oh, I'm gonna sit this one out, man. Yeah, man. If it's not a requirement, I'm gonna just chill. Now, I'm obedient though, because if it's a requirement, I'm gonna do it. Right. But you know, this ain't a requirement. And then, you know what I'm saying? And didn't participate. And I really do believe a lot of the people who ended up getting killed in the wilderness, they were the ones who didn't participate in this. The tabernacle was made by the offerings of those who had a heart for Yahuwah, a willing heart. They had a heart for the Most High, a heart for the kingdom. The tabernacle was made out of their offerings, so it's as if the tabernacle was a piece of them in the tabernacle. You know what I'm saying? That's the part we got to understand about our offerings. See, when you give an offering, it's as if that's a piece of you you're giving. That's what it's symbolic of. So if you had a gold ring or something, a gold chain that got melted down and now it ended up becoming a part of the, let's say, the Ark of the Covenant, what if they use your ring, your gold chain to, that got melted down and became one of the cherubim on the Ark of the Covenant or something? Like, you got to understand from Yahuwah's perspective, he knows that. He knows that. He's like, yep. That was from when I had put it on your heart to give, and you gave your chain. You gave more than you should, more than enough. And so because of that, I'm going to bless him. I'm going to have part of that stuff to be part of the Ark of the Covenant. Yahuwah knows every little piece in that tabernacle and who it came from. Yeah, that ram's hair that I used on the top, that was from, man, a Cody so-and-so gave the majority of that. Like Yahuwah knows every specific. And they're the ones who's going to be blessed for that. So it's as if the tabernacle is you, is what I'm saying. Because that offering is just a piece of you that you're giving. That offering is symbolic of you. And so it's as if that tabernacle is a piece of you. You know what I'm saying? Think about the oath that we did during Yom Kippur. I offer you the gold of my essence, the gold of my sight. It's the same idea. It's about having a willing heart to build the kingdom. You see what I'm saying? But yeah, man, yeah.
So that go back to what you brought out last week about atonement. That's what that go back to. Because that's so what you said was how when the word of Yahuwah is being done based on your money, it can make atonement for you. And we talked about a few things. That's Shemot 30:16. But we also talked about Tobit. Tobit said the same thing. So it's the way that you give. Like the way that you give can make atonement for you. That makes sense. Like Korah, man, you can tell when people don't have no giving heart. Because all they do is think about what they can gain, what they can get. That's all Korah was thinking about. Korah was like, man, we missed out on this opportunity to go to the promised land. Now we got to take another lap. And nah, we don't want to do that. It's about fulfilling your flesh. You can always tell people who don't give fulfill their flesh. That's why they're unable to give. I was there at one point. I've been there. So I'm telling you from experience, that's the people that don't give. Because it's like, man, I got to get what I want out of this thing. And what you said, hey, that's real. That was real. Mushala bought this out, so I'm going to quote her. But she was saying how, man, Musha, it was, the way the tabernacle was built was revealed to Musha. Everybody else just worked there. That's just honest. It was Musha that received the blueprint for the tabernacle. Everybody else had to trust. Musha said, hey, Bezalel, we need to do this. And you know what the response was not? Well, did Yahuwah say that, or are you saying that? Did you pray about that? Well, I'm going to go pray on it and see what Yahuwah want me to do. Man, nah. It said, nah, you, Musha, come up and make everything make everything I show you exactly as you've seen it. Paraphrasing. I think I'm close. But he says, make everything as you have seen it on the mount. That's what he tells them. And only Musha saw it. Everybody did not see it. Everybody didn't see the curtains. They didn't see the rings that went through the curtains. They didn't see the poles that went through the altar. They ain't see that, the poles that went through the Ark of the Covenant. They ain't see the curtains. They ain't see it. Musha saw it. That was it. Only Musha. Anybody else that would have saw it would have been dead because Most High didn't let nobody but Musha come. But they had to trust, like, okay, Musha done seen this thing. You said I got to make a looking mirror. All right. A bowl of bronze. They wasn't like, man, Musha, I don't think we need that. I don't think we really need, what you say? I don't think we really need 12 rings. I think we can get by with 7. Nah, they ain't say that. It was like, all right, Musha, this is what, I trust this is what the Most High showed you. And you know what? This how the thing is, man. Musha, I've been talking about receiving the word. Do you realize that Bezalel, the only reason he was able to do that was because the Ruach fell on him? He received an impartation to do what he needed to do because he believed the word of Musha. That's how we are. That's how we have to be. Like the whole purpose of impartations. Uriah went through the crowd and did impartations, I think on most of the Akiot. If not, I don't think it was all. I think it was most of the Akiot. But it's like, man, do you believe that the Ruach caused her to do that? Do you believe that was Yahuwah that caused her to do that? Because if you don't, you're not going to be prepared for the work that you got to do now. Because you might be thinking like, I don't know if she was, I mean, why she say that? What does that mean? Look, man, just be able to receive a word, especially when it comes to impartation, because again, Bezalel, you see it time and time throughout scripture. You see the same thing happen with Samson. Like Samson, he didn't receive the Ruach. Samson wasn't always strong, y'all. I know that's kind of how we talk, but go through Judges and read it. He wasn't always strong. Samson didn't get strong until a lion roared against him. He was always a Nazarite. He ain't ever cut his hair, but it says that the Ruach of strength fell on him when the young lion roared against him. So what that means is that before the young lion roared, he didn't have that level of strength. He didn't. But because he was in position, he was able to receive the aruka, receive the blessing, receive the amber. That's really what it is. It's the amber, it's the power, it's the fire, it's the ruach. I'm going too far off, but just to bring it back to what was said by Mushal, man, it really is. Can you receive the word? And I know it seems like I say this all the time, but I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna keep saying it because this is what's gonna make or break you. Can you receive the word that's coming from the head? Can you receive the word that's coming from the chief? But that ties back into the atonement. Because if you can be selfless and you can give those things like Mushal brought out last week, it'll actually make atonement for you. It'll actually cover you.
And with Bezalel, the script said the Most High gave him wisdom on these things, but you don't see him saying, I'm the expert in this, so I think. Even though the Most High gave him wisdom on those particular things. Yeah.
No, hold on. Because I was going to say something like that, too. Because a lot of people would have been like this. Moshe, hold on, I know this is what you have for the instructions, but it would look a lot better if we can put some gold on the top, too. It would look really clean if we put some gold on the top and on the side, too. Instead, not just on the inside, because everybody ain't going to be able to see that. Only the priest's going to see that. Let's put some gold on the roof. They put some gold. Look, Moshe, I know how to do it, I'm telling you. Bezalel ain't do none of that, did he? I can put some gold cherubim on the top. I put some gold cherubim on the outside, too. He didn't do none of them. You can see some of the archaeo. Hold on, I got an idea. I don't know about those colors. I don't know. We need to put some. We need to put more reds, maybe some more highlights over here. Like, ain't nobody do that. Moshe was like, look, man, this is what it is, and they just moved on it. But gold goes better with sapphires than emerald. Like, Yasharel today, though, man. Man, look.
Just going back to like how video games and stuff takes like distracts you from Yahuwah, and like cartoons and stuff. Hadar Zamar did a whole lesson in the anime, and he even showed a video of what happens to people when they are like addicted to it. And like at the end of the video, Ak Shimshong in Augusta was like. In Augusta, he was like, man, that kid literally manifested the Ruach, because of the way the Ruach was moving on the child. And then it was like a period in December. My parents were gone, and they gave me they said I could play the game. They didn't give me no time limit or nothing. They just said you can play the game. And so I don't really play the game, but I noticed when I was playing it all day. Taking a break, for midday prayer, but I noticed the prayer time wasn't as intimate as it was before. Because at first it was just school and Torah portion in Yahuwah, but then when I had the game, because I didn't have school, so I was on the game instead, and so that prayer time started getting less intimate. My dreams weren't even the way they were. I had less dreams. But then when school started back and I had to take away from the game, everything was back to where it was. My prayer times were more intimate. I had better dreams and all this kind of stuff. So I was just, from experience, the game really does affect you. Even for that short amount of time, like 2 or 3 days, it was really strange after that. So.
So Hadassah, oh wait, no, this is Shema. She said, or they kept it in the closet. Now you right. You right. Yeah. Now you right. Yeah, you better not come out saying something like that. That was even when I'm in school and I'm a little younger than Bouchard, but nah, you make yourself a target. You make yourself a target, boy. Then she said they're loud, bold, proud, and entitled. I don't remember what that was talking about though. Oh, the same thing? Oh, yeah. Ah, yeah. Yeah, they definitely are. And Shadasa put the scriptures in there. Shema said, at my job, almost all the men get testosterone shots, and some have been on them for years. Shema? Man. Yeah, that's a popular thing at the gym, too. That's a very popular thing. Yeah, they offer that. It's actually not that expensive. They offer that. I mean, they sell you on that.
Yeah, so Hebrews don't got to do nothing like that. It usually be the other nations. 'Cause I remember there was a season when I was in the lifting weights a lot. I remember this guy came up to me, hey man, what kind of stuff do you be taking? I'm like, nothing. Water, food. Yeah, I mean, I know, but what kind of like things you be taking, you know? I was like, nothing. He was like, for real? My goodness, man. You know, I thought for sure. Like, yeah, what? But the other that's the thing. Like when they're in there in the gym, they taking all kind of stuff. Testosterone shots, protein supplements. Some of them even steroids. Those who bodybuilding, they do the steroids. You know, the list goes on and on and on. But if you're a Hebrew, you really don't have to do that as long as you you know, you just drinking enough water, eating meat, maybe do vitamins like them vitamins that Maury Daniel have is food. They got like sea moss and some other stuff in there. But yeah.
All right, so we got, I think this is Imayasha. Yeah, Imayasha, she put the word for Seba? Oh, I see it. She said, interesting. Blue Letter Bible description of assembling women in Shemot 38 and 8 is Seba. Yeah. No, that's fight. To war. That's like Sabaoth. Yeah, this I bet, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure this is one of the roots for Sabaoth, Yahuwah Sabaoth. It's Seba. And then you know what? Because Sebaoth is plural, it's a feminine plural. So this is referring to the assembling women. Oof. This is why they say black women got attitudes.
So those were the declarers. Those were the Warren Akio in the assembly, y'all. Also, Eshet Kayim, the virtuous woman. Yeah, that when you look at that Hebrew, that word Hebraically, that means like a mighty, like a warrior. Yeah. Kayil. Yeah, like a man of valor. That word Kayil is used. And so, very interesting though.
Yeah, no, but you know, somebody had made the comment about black women having attitudes, and that's really what it is. Like, you just designed that way, and you just, so if you have a weak man, you don't got no chance. You don't got no shot, boy. She'll run you into the ground. You just gotta have this. It goes back to what you were saying earlier about men being men. Because when you got to be a strong man to handle a Hebrew woman. That's just is what it is. Yeah, she take over. She'll run you ragged, boy.
Man, I remember. Yeah, that's just pretty much that's just our Akio, like that's my whole family. So I'm just used to it. Cause I remember my cousin. I was like, what? Whoever married you? Like, man. And she would always laugh. And then I met and her brothers would say the same thing. Her brothers said the same. Like, man, whoever marry you, what gonna be? I'm like, it'll be all right. It'll be all right. Oh, let's start with a side.
Yeah, that's like the hunt for the strong leader's house. Yeah.
That's related to sacrifice, though. I believe Zabak is sacrifice.
Yeah, Zabak is sacrifice.
I think it's society, yeah. I gotta look it up, though.
So I put the Shabbat notes in here, and then Deror put a funny GIF in here, and said, "People out here raising those iPad kids like this. I don't get it. This has superseded my dad's humor. My dad's humor. I don't understand." Oh, if you take the iPad, they act like that. Oh, that's funny. I get it. Yeah, no, I ain't never seen that before in real life, but you have?
Nah, those video games are highly addictive, though. I was talking to Dawood and Simka. I think it was a couple of days ago. I remember growing up, we used to play this game called, I guess it's still out. This game called, Mortal Kombat 2. But I was a little bit older. Grand Theft Auto, yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. We'll be on that game all day, man. That game was highly addictive. You literally be rolling down the street, man. You can shoot up some stuff. You can get chased by the laws, and you're doing a high-speed chase. And for real. Go ahead, Bethel.
Oh, I was just going to confirm that that gift that Deror put in the chat. Because at my other job that I used to work at, I had this little boy, and he was very addicted to the iPad that we used to use to do our work on. So I guess the lady needed her iPad back, and when she took it, he punched her in the face and knocked her glasses crooked. And then she quit shortly after. So yeah.
So I have a question. So I try to see how to word it. So if our women were supposed to be these strong warrior woman, king kind of woman, and even with the lions, how the woman lions, the lion, why I say woman lions, the lionesses, they're the ones that go out and hunt, even though the man still dominate, you know what I mean? So where this idea come from, we have to, I don't know how to explain why triax. Not no, but it's how the white women them on the TV, they have their aprons and they just home with the polka dot dress, and that's what it push on us women. If you ain't that, then you just ghetto, or you just too masculine. So well, I guess I answered my own question. Never mind.
We don't push that. We don't push that at all. That's why we don't got all kind of pushback from other Hebrews. I don't have people put stuff on our comments in the Rebirth ATL. How come y'all got women that be saying, women on the tribe saying too much over there? That's women, because this scripture say that the women not supposed to talk. Oh yeah. Then I'll respond because I'm gonna be pulled into ready to debate them. Like, yeah, nah, that's not what that mean. What did I pray on the Most High? Like, nah, I don't send that. Like, all right. So I don't send it. And then the dude will end up deleting the message. He ain't getting no response. But no, one thing about this nation is that we don't believe. So we know that women are supposed to be submissive. That's what the scriptures say. But we also, I believe that one thing about rebirth is that we have a healthy balance and we understand what submission actually means. It doesn't mean you're supposed to be quiet and you're not allowed to talk. It doesn't mean you're supposed to be like, I don't know, because you're supposed to listen to your husband. But it doesn't mean that you don't have a say-so, you don't have an opinion, I guess is the best way to put it. You know what I'm saying?
More so, I think it's like how a soldier is submissive, you know. They're not weak, you know.
That's it though. Every Marine, every Navy SEAL is super submissive when they're gonna take orders. Their commanding officer, there ain't gonna be no questions. They're gonna move on it, but they not weak. They not weak. Actually, that level of submission is super powerful, for real, super strong, super powerful. That's why the scriptures are so big on lifting up your heads. Because actually submission, when done the right way, it's extremely effective against the enemy. It is. Extremely powerful. One of the issues that we had is we could never unite. You know why? Because nobody's submitting to nothing. So we never could unite. There wasn't no power with us. We was always in a bunch of individuals running around bumping heads all the time. Could nobody never get nothing collectively going while the other nations flourishing. Because they very humble and very submissive. You ever been to another country and you just be astonished how humble they are? For real. You go to a third world country, everybody's like, yes, sir, how's it going? Hey, how you doing? Okay, you need that? Okay. Always smiling too. You know you're not happy. They smiling anyway because they wanna be pleasant. It's just a level of humbleness, and then they always be like, man, Americans, man, they just arrogant. They just, yeah. Oh, because it be like that out there, huh?
I think that's like one of the main culture shocks of coming to America is like you it's like the greetings. It's like you so used to everybody. Yeah, like everybody you pass, you say good morning, and then it's like they're watching you like, or like good night. So good night in the islands is a greeting, but in America, it's when you're saying like bye. So I will go into a place, I'm like good night, and they're watching like, but you just came, like where you going? But that's not the point. The point of the matter is greet like, or like if I at work and like people would just come to the job and they just wouldn't even say good morning. And I'll be like, good morning. And then she'll like, okay, can I get settled in? No, it ain't gonna take you 2 seconds to say good morning. I think that's like that was the biggest. I couldn't take that. That manners, greetings thing.
That is hilarious. It just matters what part of the state you in, because when you're in the rural areas, where was we at? And we was driving by and people was waving. Oh, that's when we was in Augusta. That's what it was. Man, it's different out there. But we was riding through it was a hood too. We was in the hood. But everybody wave, everybody say hi, and they think it's rude if you don't speak. You know what I'm saying? New Orleans was kind of like that, at least in your part, where Grandma and them stayed, it was kind of like that. That's all island people out there. That's all island people in South Florida. I remember in New Orleans, though, I was outside. We was at Grandma's house, and dude walked by. Everybody speak. I was like, man. This dude walked by, man, young dude too. And in Texas, you usually you owe it everybody when it's a Hebrew and you cross paths, it's a sizing up that happens every time. When you two young people, it's always a sizing up, and it might be something like, all right now, something like that. So I'm like, man, what this? He coming all close. I'm like, yeah, I got to size him up, make sure. He was like, hey, what's up now? What's up? I'm like, all right, what's that? He was for real. It was just all ahava. It was like, let me greet you. We went to the store, and it was always, I told y'all about this, it'd be about like 20 people just posted at the store when we was in New Orleans. So you got to walk by like 20-something Hebrews just to go into the corner store. Like, it was all greetings. It was like, what's happening? What's that? Hey, you from Texas, ain't you? Like, what? How you know that? So it's just different. It just matter what part of the states you in. But especially Augusta, man, everybody speak. Even when we was in the hotels, the people that work at the hotel, hey, how's it going? Good morning. Everybody speaking. You trying to just, hey, can I get some towels? Okay, yeah. So what y'all about to get into? What y'all getting into? That's like not y'all business, I ain't trying to like. I'm not friendly like that.
Because I was so like introverted, even with like their family, I would catch so much heat from like their family. They're like, she rude, like she don't have no manners.
Let me say.
They always rude. My uncle they walk in the building in the room. They don't say how you doing, nothing. It's like out there. I'm like, no, my uncle.
Oh, that's an Austin thing. That's an Austin thing. Let me say something real quick to what you were saying though. Like when it comes to like I think that transition that happened where like women, I think the definition of submission probably changed. I think that's a part of the curses. So it's Deuteronomy 28, 54. So it says, the sensitive and very refined man among you will be hostile towards his brother, toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the rest of his children which he leaves behind. And then to skip to 56, it says, the tender and delicate woman among you who would not venture to set her sole of her foot on the ground because of her delicateness and sensitivity will refuse the husband of her bosom, and to her son and her daughter. And then goes on to talk about some other things. But I think it really goes, it's twofold. I think that the curses did that to where we don't really know what submission is, because anytime, this is what happened inside of Yashrael, that if you have a wife who has an opinion, they say that woman not submissive because she has an opinion on what you said we're going to do. But really what that is you just a weak man. That's really what it is. Because see, these men who have problems like that, they the main ones that rebelling against their leadership. Now see, the woman is the incubator. That's what she does. She going to take whatever you give her and she going to multiply it times 100. So now all of a sudden, man, you like, man, my wife don't listen to me. She always got something to say when I tell her something. You do the same thing with your leadership. If your boss come and tell you, hey, look, this your 5th time being late. I need you to show up early. Man, why you always sweating me? Why you on me? That's like, and so now all of a sudden you tell your wife, hey, look, love, this the 3rd time you done burnt the chicken. Why you always saying something? Like, just eat what I get. So it's like the continuation of that. I think that's twofold. So it's like the curses where we see that, but then it's also the failure of men. They go back to the lesson. Like the way they wipe away the man is we not really allowed to be men in our own household because there's something called toxic. What you say? You said that? Toxic masculinity. That's how you say it. Toxic masculinity, where they will say I'm over aggressive. If sometimes my Isha might say something, I just be like, yeah, nah. Don't get no reason. No, we're not gonna do that. That's just, you're just not sensitive. You're not a good listener. No, the answer is just no. We're just not gonna do that. Like, even if I know, because I know what the Most High has designed. I know what the Most High says. But even apart from all that, the answer is just no. Like, if most men, this is what I learned. Most men, if they explain their answers constantly, they just not comfortable. That's a whole nother thing. I'm not even going into all that. I'm not going into all that. But I think just a part of the answer to your question is the way it changed is we were brought under these men who aren't really men. So anyway.
Yeah, like you can really, a really thub example is to look at the Maleks, man. That's really a thub example, man.
Yeah, and why? Okay. What was I going to say? I was going to say. Oh, sorry. But I was going to speak as in reference to observing, like how, like us having two examples, because that's something that I be thinking about. When I watch, like, if I watching like a Augusta teaching, I always watch like Malka Kyle, not like intentionally, but she just be doing stuff that like, I just see like how supportive she is of Melek Musha. Like just by watching her teaching, like anything he say, like she's supporting it, or like anything he joke he makes, she gonna laugh. Like she's so supportive of him. I'm like, man, like that's so crazy. So this is this is so strange. But so it had a time, right? Because even when Amma had observed too, when we was on our way to Sukkot, it had these things that were hitting the van. You remember, Musha? That these little sounds, you remember? So then Musha had like roll on the window and he pulled his hand out and to feel it, and he was like, oh, I could feel it. This might sound so simple to everybody, but this was such a big deal in like my marriage. So this might sound so simple, but this was a big like deal for my marriage. So then Amma rolled down her, so like after a while she rolled on her window and she like put her hand out. She was like, oh, I can't feel anything. So I was watching her like, man, that's exactly like what my ish used to talk about. Like that's what he would say, oh, you don't even like support whatever. And then just by her doing that, it bring that back to me like, man, that's how I was supposed to be. Like that's you know, like that's the type of support. Like people would think support look like, oh, you know, the wife gonna be there for you like when you crying, or like, no, I don't mean I'm like man crying all the time, but like she gonna be there for you when you sad and stuff like that, when you had a rough day. Okay, that's a given. But it's the little stuff like that. It's the little things like that that would make, you know, like feel like, wow, she really supportive. Like she's, you know, if I say I feel something outside, she feeling it too, you know. It's those little things. And that's why I would see that Malka Kayela do and like what Amma would do. So I just wanted to confirm, like, yeah, like we have two examples of like women, like, you know what I mean, of like, because I always look at the women and be like, and I always see like what my shortcomings was in my marriage because of what they do, and I always store those things. Just like how Sukkot was however long ago, and I stored that thing that Amma did, and I was like, man, that's how that look. Like I have to make sure like that's, you know. So I wanted to say a side note about Mora Hadassah. So last Shabbat, Mora Hadassah is like a secret weapon too, okay? Last Shabbat, right? I was out there or whatever, and then I just heard somebody declaring, and then I look, I look and I see Mora Hadassah. I'm like, wait. She was like a whole, I have never seen Mora Hadassah so beamed up like that. Like, I was like, no, and you know what, let me don't say that. Because, yeah, that was last Shabbat, but it had this praise and worship video that Ima Oria has sent me. And it was Mora Hadassah declaring, I was like, she's like a new person. Like I don't know. Like, she just like, boom, like, I like, what? I did not know that was Mora Hadassah. Like, she all had just like, you know, so I just wanted to say that.
I tell you, her and I'm not the same person. She's just a quiet version.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that talking about my wife, she compliments me in so many ways, even though she's not in the walk. She compliments me in so many ways. Where the areas that I'm weak in, that's her strong point, you know. As far as her organizational skills, she keeps all the receipts. She keeps up with all the bills. She gonna make sure the bills are paid on time, you know. She does stuff like that where, you know, if it was up to me, you know, I'd probably be late, you know, I don't know where this is. I don't know. She knows where everything is. If I ask her for something, she knows right where to go and find it at. So even though she's not in the walk, she just compliments me in so many ways. I know the other day I was teasing her about some beans and cornbread. So the day I called her, I always call her and check on her. And I say, "What you doing?" She said, "I'm fixing you some beans and cornbread." So just the little things like that, that she compliments me on. And so, being together, like say 40 years almost, we just know each other like we know each other. She knows me, I know her. So, hallelujah. That's right. Hallelujah.
So I just wanted to kind of land back on what everybody been saying. But when that situation had happened at my job, when a person had stolen my charger for my pump, and I was trying to figure out what to do after the operations manager was being very passive, what I asked myself was, what would Amma do? That's literally what caused me to put a message out, and my charger just popped up. I'm telling you, that's what I asked myself. I was like, man, what would Amma do? Put his message out. And then I did.
Rebirth of a nation. Hebrew kingdom building.